go ahead and say hello to Twitch and tell us why you are here.
Hello. I am here today because about 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and just want to talk about how that affects my life.
That's perfect. Well, as perfect that you're here to talk about
Right,
it.
right.
So first of all, can you give us a rundown of what postural orthostatic tachycardia is and what it does to you specifically? Because there is a range of how it affects
Right.
different people.
Yes. So everyone is different. My story could be different from somebody else's. And it probably is different in that it affects everybody in so many different ways because there's so many symptoms that everybody can go through. Like for me, I could have different symptoms today than I had yesterday. Um, but starting at the beginning, POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, I was diagnosed first with autonomic dysfunction, which they're kind of the same, just different names. And they're all in the dysautonomia family, if you will. It's kind of hard to understand, but it's dysautonomia is a big umbrella term. And then you have autonomic dysfunction and POTS in that. Um, so basically, it's your autonomic nervous system that is failing. It doesn't want to operate the way that it should, the way God intended it to work. How it was explained to me, everything that happens automatically in your body, like your heart rate, your breathing, your blood pressure, your digestion, I mean, the list can go on and on. Everything that's supposed to happen automatically does not happen automatically in our body, in my body, in somebody that has autonomic dysfunction or POTS. So with POTS, whenever I stand up, my blood pressure usually drops and my heart rate goes up. I do not pass out. Actually, the first time I passed out was last week, and I've had this for 7 years, and it
Wow.
scared the crap out of me. And I was sitting down. I wasn't standing. Usually, when people stand up, they pass out with POTS because their blood pressure drops. I was sitting down and I passed out. Very scary. But I also have something called PNES, pseudo non-epileptic seizures. And they do not show up on any, I think it's called an EEG where they do your brain waves. That
Yes,
does
that's
not
right.
come up on any of those testing or anything. So pseudo meaning kind of it's all in your head, but they're real. They're real seizures. So my doctor explained it to me that I have these seizures because my body does not like POTS. And
I don't think
so,
anybody does.
right. So my body is like, protesting, no, I do not like this. And so it'll throw my body into a seizure. Um, and they don't last very long, but I'm nonverbal during them. I cannot speak. I usually twitch and shake a little bit. Um, and yeah, and then afterwards, I'm really tired and I usually have to rest. But after that, I just rest like the next day. And then, I could be so called normal, go back to my daily life. But yeah, on a daily, I take a lot of medicine. I take a beta blocker, metoprolol. I take a blood pressure pill, Verapamil. I take that's basically what I take for my POTS, and I take a salt pill. So with POTS, you need to increase your water intake, your liquid, and your salt intake. So I increase those daily. I take a salt pill that twice a day to try to get my salt level increased. They say like between 7 to 9,000 grams of salt a day. So that's a lot. That's a lot to try to take in, but it's to help to raise your blood pressure. So
Yeah, and the salt pills really, really help, so you don't have to ruin
yes,
every meal by oversalting.
right, right.
Now, I'm American. If I remember correctly, you're American as well. We love our
Yes,
salt,
yes.
but even then, it's too much.
It is a lot. It's a lot to try to put on your food. So then you supplement it with the salt pills.
Yeah, and my husband thinks it's hilarious because, um, he's worried about his heart, so he has to
Right.
reduce his salt intake. So he's like, I'm trying not to have any, and my wife is just piling it on.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
I
it
could
does give a lot of like opposite of what you would
it really
normally
does.
do.
It really does. So I would, if you don't mind, I would kind of like to go back to when I was first diagnosed and kind of tell that story.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yes.
because I think for me, I don't know. I can just go by what I went through, but I mean, it was very traumatic for me. So, like I said, I was diagnosed 7 years ago. So before then, I was having blood pressure issues. My heart rate was really low, and they didn't know why. So I was admitted into the hospital. They did a stress test, a chem I'm not for sure what it's called, but they I didn't run on the treadmill. I did the where they put an IV in me, whatever that's called.
Yeah, they do it with medicine instead of
Right, with the
exercise.
medicine. Yes. So they did that test and it came back abnormal. So they did a heart cath and that came back normal. Everything with my heart was okay. So I went back to my cardiologist and it's like, okay, what's going on? Blah blah blah. He said, you have autonomic dysfunction. And I'm like, that was the first time I'd ever heard those words. I was like, what is that? So he was trying to explain it to me. I went home and I my heart rate dropped. It was like in the 20s. So I had to go back to the hospital. I went to the emergency room. By the time I got to the emergency room, my heart rate was in the teens. I think the lowest it got was like 17. So needless to say, they kept me into the hospital. They admitted me. The next day, well, that night, they were giving me medicine that they only give to resuscitate people because my heart rate was so low. And I was scared to go to sleep. That couple nights leading up to it, I remember not sleeping because I was so scared to even fall asleep because they say when you sleep, your heart rate gets even lower. So I was like, if mine's at 20 something, how am I going to be able to sleep? It's going to, just stop beating. So I was just scared to death. So they were giving me this medicine that whole night to keep my heart beating basically. So then my cardiologist and my surgeon come in the next day and they were literally fighting over this surgery that they wanted me to have to put a pacemaker in me. My surgeon said that I was too young. Now, at the time, I was 36 years old. And the surgeon said that I was too young to have a pacemaker. So my cardiologist kind of looks at him and was like, how young is too young to save a person's life? If she needs this pacemaker, she needs it. So, needless to say, the surgeon would not do the surgery. I had to be transported to another hospital to have a life saving procedure done on me to put a pacemaker in. So,
Wow.
exactly, exactly. So that's why I wanted to tell this story, because we know our bodies. And, if it wasn't for the doctor, fighting for me, me laying there, not being able to talk or, barely hold my head up, but my doctor was fighting for me. So if you cannot physically fight for yourself, you need to at least have a doctor or a family member that can be there with you fighting for you, because it was such a scary ordeal. And the doctor transported me to another hospital, and I got my pacemaker, which saved my life. And I'm so thankful that I got the pacemaker, or else I would not be here right now. I would not be here right now. And all of this is from autonomic dysfunction, because my heart rate was so low. It was called bradycardia. I had bradycardia and tachycardia.
Yeah. Uh, I'm certainly glad you're here too. I'm
Thank you. Thank you.
so many of us hear ridiculous things from our doctors, like, oh, you're too young for this,
Right,
you can't
right,
possibly be going through that. And
right,
it seems like they don't see the individual, they're just trying to
right.
treat your demographic. Oh, you are this age, this gender, this race, and that means that you're experiencing this. I'm just like, no, we'll buck the system every
Yep,
time.
yep, yep. And there's a lot of doctors that I've seen that I've had to personally fire, just not go back to them, because they don't look at me. They don't look at my symptoms. Oh, well, for example, I have a lot of stomach issues with my autonomic dysfunction, a lot of stomach issues. And for a while, I was constipated for months. And I would go to the doctor, and they were like, there's no way you can be constipated for months. I'm like, yes, I can. I'm walking living proof of it. I mean, it's just, an example that your body. If a doctor does not fit your needs, there's another one out there that will. So keep looking. Do not give up hope. Do not give up that there is help out there. You just have to, unfortunately, we have to do the work behind it all on finding that good doctor,
It's a
because there's
full-time
so
job.
few. Right,
It
right.
and I've tried to work. And anyone who is able to work with these conditions, I have so much respect for.
Yes, me too. Me
Uh,
too. Because I could hardly even get out of bed today, because my blood pressure has been so low lately. And then the fatigue, I'm trying to explain it to my husband. It's not like oh, I'm sleepy. It's a tired that your body just cannot move tired. It is just, you've slept all night, but yet you're still tired. You're so tired. Your body is just so worn out, and you're doing nothing but laying there. But it, yeah, it's very, very difficult for somebody to understand who does not go through what you go through every day.
yeah. And so many doctors would be like, "Oh, you just need to exercise more. That gives you energy. Oh, you just
No,
need to you sleep too much. Sleeping too much will make you more
right,
drowsy." And I'm just like, if I sleep less than 10 hours a night, I literally start shutting down and
right,
like cannot function. Not like I can't do the dishes and clean the house function.
right.
I can't function as in like my heart does not beat properly function.
Right. Right. And your body just feels out of place. Like it's just doesn't feel right. You know, oh, there's, but you might not be able to put your finger on it. And then yeah, it's so crazy that the symptoms and the feelings that we go through on a daily basis.
I hear you. I really, really hear you. So, how does this affect your day-to-day life? Like, how do you
Well,
try to plan around this? What do you do to sort of get along with
right.
this condition?
That's a great question because it literally is a day to day decision on what I'm going to do. And I I remember this one day, me and my husband was out for a walk, just walking, no exercise, not running, just walking in the park. And we came home and it was like life had just left my body. Like every ounce of energy just left my body. And it was like my body felt like 1,000,000 pounds. And the only thing that I could do was just lay on the couch, and I ended up taking a nap. It was that that moment. It was just, it's hard for me to describe, but it was the only thing that I could think of was just like life had left my body. I was so weak. I was so tired. It's just, yeah, it was just crazy. But
I Oh,
you
go ahead.
you have good days and you have bad days.
Hmm. Yeah, and I know I was about to say that I remember trying to explain to my pediatrician that it felt like someone had pulled the plug on a drain
Right.
and
Yes.
then everything just drained out of me. And
Yes.
I remember my doctor looking at a 10-year-old and saying, "That doesn't make any sense. You're just making stuff up. You're tired,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. Deal with it." And this is a doctor telling this to a child. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And um and one mistake I always make, and it's so hard not to make this mistake, is when you are having a good day to overdo it.
Overdo it. Yes. Yep. I do that all the
Especially
time.
especially when things kind of pile up on the days that are not good. My laundry is not done. So
Right.
I'm having a good day, so I'm going to do 3 weeks worth of laundry. Oh, that's too
Yeah.
much.
That's what I do all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
it really is a day to day, just to see how you're going to feel when you open your eyes in the morning. It's like, okay, how am I going to feel today? Is my blood pressure going to be stable? Is my heart rate going to be stable? You really don't know till you open your eyes and get up that morning if it's going to be a good day or a bad day. And if it's a bad day, you just roll with it and do whatever you can to get through that day. Whether it's staying in bed because you cannot be, horizontal, or, I, or if you wake up and you are having a good day, then you roll with that as well. And, you just go out and enjoy the day. It's,
mhm.
it's really just depending on your body, what your body wants to let you do that day, basically.
Yeah. Uh what I heard a funny saying that, when God hears you make plans, he just laughs.
Right. Yes.
Like, "Oh, you wanted to go shopping today. That's adorable."
Yeah. Yes.
"Hey
Um,
guys, come here. She thought she was going to go shopping."
Yeah. But I do have a walker that has a seat on it. So I will take, I usually keep that in the kitchen. So, if I'm cooking or preparing something, that I could set down to do that. That has helped me out tremendously. And I also have a shower chair that, taking a shower, I'll sit down
I
because,
love
I
my
mean,
shower chair.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So, I kind of explain it to my family and friends that, you don't realize how much you stand up in a day until you cannot stand up, So, it's like going anywhere, you're looking for a chair because I might have to sit down any second. So, you're looking for places to sit down. Um, so, it's just you modify your life and whatever that looks like, that's the new normal. So
Yeah.
don't be ashamed of it.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, my husband and I got these generic fitness trackers because, he wanted to, increase how much he exercised. And I really liked it because this brand actually took your blood pressure.
Oh
So I'm like,
wow.
I need that to monitor just what my body's doing. And, my husband wants to, get more steps in. That's great. And we still compare. Like, he tries to work up to 10,000 steps, and, he'll be
Right,
like, hey, honey, I got 7,500 today. I'm like, great. I got 532.
right. that's what that's what me and my husband do. It's like if I get 1,000 steps, that's the greatest accomplishment ever.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, I'm exhausted. Oh, yeah, I went over 1,000. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
So what tracker do you use for blood pressure?
um, it was like one that we got from China. Uh, it's H band, I think.
Really? I
Uh,
didn't think they did blood pressure. I just thought it was like heart rate or steps. I'll have to look
yeah,
into that.
yeah. And it was a few years ago, so they might actually have better ones now. But on the support group years ago, they're just like, "Hey, I found this one, and it actually works." So,
Cool.
um, I think it's. Oh, they do have better ones.
Ooh,
Blood pressure, attracts your sleep and stuff. Yeah,
okay. I'll definitely have to look into that one because that would be so helpful with me.
yeah. Um, and like even some like more expensive on brand ones won't track blood pressure. So,
Right. Yeah.
and when I compare, it's usually pretty accurate too. It's not always spot on,
Right.
but
It
if it's
just
low,
it
it's low.
right. Yeah, it'll give you an idea of what it is. Right.
hmm
Yeah.
It'll tell me I need to sit down and like take a real blood pressure reading.
Right. That's good. That's good.
So let me see if I can remember what questions we should go over. Okay. You talked about your doctors and how getting a diagnosis is very difficult.
Yes.
And
Yes, it can be.
um
Mine actually was very it's probably different than a lot of people because, a lot of people takes years to get diagnosed or whatever, and I'm so blessed that my cardiologist knew what POTS was, knew what autonomic dysfunction was, and you know diagnosed me. I didn't go years for a diagnosis. I was i had symptoms, and like the next month he diagnosed me.
wow, that's
Yeah.
that is
So
incredible.
it really was incredible because I know a lot of people suffer, and yeah, it can be very, very difficult. But like I was saying, your body, and if a doctor isn't doing, what you think needs to be done, by all means, find a different doctor. And I
Mhm.
ended up going to autonomic clinic in at Vanderbilt. They have an excellent autonomic center. Well, it's a research center, but they also have a clinic for doctors that you can actually go to the clinic there as well. So Vanderbilt in Tennessee is phenomenal. They are excellent.
That's great. I actually went to Newport Beach in Virginia.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
there was a specialist, but then the minute I got diagnosed, they said, "Oh, I'm not doing any care anymore. I only do I will only consult your neurologist from now on." And I just about died inside because I do not like my neurologist now, but I love my
Mm,
cardiologist, which was opposite from when I lived in California. I
oh,
did not um I did not like my neurologist. No, I hated my cardiologist, like hated my cardiologist in California,
mm.
and I loved my neurologist.
So was you
So,
diagnosed with POTS?
in California, I was diagnosed with everything from Munchausen and anxiety and um, hypochondria
Oh, yeah.
to um, every mental disorder until I actually finally went to um, a psychologist, and they said, "No, this is medical. We need to find
Mm,
you a better specialist." And it was actually, and you know, I asked for recommendations, like who can help me. This is
right.
um so I finally got in with a neurologist that diagnosed me with just plain autonomic dysfunction.
Okay. Hmm.
But I loved him because he's like, the cause can be tricky to find out, so I'm going to focus on treatment. What is going to make you feel better? So I was happy with
Yes.
just that diagnosis.
Yeah.
But then I moved from California to the DC area
Mhm.
and started getting sick again.
Oh,
And so I'm just like, okay, my medicine's not working anymore. What's going on? So I went back to a neurologist, hated him, but my cardiologist actually is the go to guy that my insurance accepts in the area for people with POTS.
that's
And I got
good.
sent to Newport Beach in Virginia with that specialist. And um, that's actually where I got diagnosed with POTS in particular. So he's like, you have autonomic dysfunction, which is that umbrella. POTS
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
your flavor
There
of
you go.
autonomic dysfunction.
Yeah.
And the cause, we still don't know.
Don't know. That's like with me. Don't know. But
And it
all I know
wasn't
is
in
I have this.
yeah, it wasn't until a year or two ago that I saw a genetic specialist that diagnosed me with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome,
Oh,
and
so have
that
I.
is the cause.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome caused the POTS, which is my particular flavor of autonomic dysfunction.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like going around several states and yeah, it's always a mess. I've never heard, no matter what the rate or the speed of diagnosis, I've never heard of a clean or easy um diagnosis of chronic illness.
Yeah. It all pretty much sucks.
So, We are running out of time, so I have two final questions.
Okay. Okay.
Is there anything that I haven't touched on that you would like to share?
Um, I think we pretty much covered it all. You was just talking about like the symptoms. There is no cure for POTS. You just basically treat your symptoms. So like right now, I'm treating my stomach. My stomach is a big issue, so I'm dealing with stomach issues right now. So whatever symptom is going on, that's basically what you have to treat. You only treat your symptoms. There's no magic pill that you can take to get rid of POTS or autonomic dysfunction. So you're just dealing with your symptoms.
Yeah, it's all about management
Management,
because
yes, yes.
there's a
And
big difference between chronic illness that is well managed and chronic illness that is out of control. For
right,
someone like that has diabetes, that's a chronic illness, but it can be well managed if they have the right amount of dietary support and insulin and
yes,
you know but a chronic illness that's out of control is so hard to deal with.
it really is. And I would like to just also mention that there are a lot of support groups out there. So if you're listening or whatever, please do not think that you're alone with whatever chronic illness you have. There is always somebody that is going through the same thing as you. When I first got diagnosed, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one in this world that has POTS and autonomic dysfunction and dysautonomia. But once you start to research, there's a lot of people out there like me, like you. So never feel like you're alone. There's always somebody out there that you can talk to, that you can share what you're going through with. So never think that you're alone. There's always somebody out there that you can talk to.
Absolutely. And um POTS is super rare, and if we can find each
Right.
other,
Right.
there's so many other there's so many other conditions that could find each other
Exactly.
as well. um One last question.
Okay.
If you had the opportunity to be in front of a room full of doctors and
Mm,
teach them something, what would you teach them? What would you say?
I would say that when they are diagnosing or when they are in front of a patient, just remember that we are people. We are human beings. We have feelings. We have, what we are telling them is how we're feeling. When I go to a doctor and I tell him, my stomach hurts today, or my head hurts, or, my blood pressure is really low today, or tomorrow it might be high. Believe us. Believe what we are saying because not everybody is a hypochondriac, not everybody is, lying. Not everybody is the same. My symptoms are different from yours. So believe everybody on what they say. I know that's hard for every doctor to do, but especially with POTS, it's so rare. It's so, not everybody has it and not everybody ever heard of it. So just be more caring and understanding with patients.
Absolutely. That would be a great lesson for more doctors to learn.
Right. Right.
And doctors who already do that well are priceless.
Yes. Yes, they are. Because I know it's not just me, but we felt so um, just leaving the doctor's office just so distraught and just so like they didn't even care what I just told them. Just leaving the doctor's office feeling so hopeless that there's no hope in my situation. And even if it's a doctor saying everything is going to be okay, whatever it is. That's what that person with the chronic illness needs to hear, because we deal with pain day in and day out. We want somebody to help us and listen to us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And this will be on YouTube tomorrow. I will edit it tonight. Well, probably tomorrow morning. And I'll give you the links and everything.
Okay.
And
Great.
and I will be back next week. And we'll see you later. Bye bye.
Bye.